Well, I know you guys have been waiting for this. We are grading my 2025 predictions for Catherine, the Princess of Wales. I've got my super golden deck just for her. And we are going to go right into 2026 predictions, and we're going to be talking about her numerology. And we're going to be live after this with live questions from you guys about Catherine, the fabulous Princess of Wales. We'll be right back. Hey, Tarot fam. I'm Annabelle. I'm a tarot practitioner and psychic for over 35 years. This is Fortune Cookies Tarot. Welcome back to the cookie jar. So today's video is actually going to be 2 in 1. We're going to do my grading for the 2025 predictions that I made for the lovely Princess of Wales. Then we're going to go right into new predictions for 2026 with numerology added in. And then right after this premiere, we are going to be live, and I'm going to answer any questions that you, intrepid bunch, may have. So buckle up. This may be a little bit longer, but I know you guys love it. So let's get going. So you guys know that I love accountability, and I really think that this has been a great feature on my channel for 2026, where we actually go back, I pull the transcript, I drop it into 3 different forms of AI, and I have AI grade the predictions that I made. This one I did pretty well. I'm okay. I'm pretty happy with it. So let's get going. This is spiritual commentary. It is tarot. It's not medical advice. It's not factual reporting. We are using the timeline of real events to grade. But as we look into 2026, we are going to be looking at the energy patterns and energy themes that are going to be on deck for the Princess of Wales. And we'll see what she can do to kind of maneuver them and manipulate them to have her best year ever. So thanks so much for being here. Let's talk a little bit about numerology and what was behind 2025. So before we grade my predictions, let's just ground those predictions with some numerology. When someone's in a cycle that emphasizes recovery, containment, and stabilization, the big public comeback usually isn't the high point of the year. Those years are typically about rebuilding the body and the energy, controlling exposure, and protecting the system from overload. And I think we did see this with the lovely Princess of Wales, to much criticism from some of her detractors. So numerology is going to help us interpret why 2025 would show a slower pace, even if her spirit was really willing and anxious to get out there and do some cool stuff. Recovery years don't behave like victory lap years. So we're just not going to see that kind of action. So 2025, I tracked 3 lanes quarter by quarter: her family, her royal work and duty, and her health and recovery, because that was, a very, very clear bucket that she had to pay attention to in 2025. So psychic scores, my heads. We'll just start with little psychic score celebration. So what I had said about Q1, the first quarter of the year, January, February, March, was that the Princess of Wales would be focused on education planning, specifically Prince George, or I should say especially Prince George. How it played out was it matched with the broader themes we did see in 2025. And the Wales house was centered on George's future role. I'm going to say this, the Wales moving into the new house, Forest Lodge, ahead of schedule, plus George's increased visibility at major remembrance occasions, the optics absolutely read like it was a soft changing of the guard signal. We really are seeing some things change over. We're seeing the budding of a new family tree, a new branch of the family tree, George's family tree. So it's not a coronation signal or, a clarion call, but it's a future forward signal. I absolutely agree that framing works together. AI did too. They gave me a hit on that. So I also said in the first quarters of the year, Q1 and Q2, that's all the way from January to July, that she would be held back with advisors controlling the pacing. How that played out, the overarching pattern of her selective visibility and controlled engagement gave me a hit for those predictions as well. As far as her health, end of crisis energy, but ongoing scans and vigilance. And this is something that if any of us have had a family member who's a cancer survivor or someone who had gone through a cancer experience, the ongoing scans and the vigilance that you put in there can be very nerve-wracking, especially when you're waiting for the final word of you are in remission, or we do not see growth, or we do see growth in some cases. So how it played out, I said that there was going to be ongoing monitoring and anxiety cycles, because I am familiar with that from the experience that I've had with people with cancer in my life. How it played out, classic energy signature, immediate storm passes, but the nervous system stayed alert. AI, all three of them gave me a hit on that one. So in our third quarter of 2025, increased presence, but not 100%. What I said exactly was more active and in-person in Q3, but not full speed. And how it played out was exactly like that. The ramp up theme, they were actually gradually increasing her visibility in the third quarter of the year. So that's going to be August, September, October. Let's add a little bit of a psychological layer in here. I did say that she was going to need some additional support and stop looking over her shoulder. Again, cancer anxiety is a real thing. You are kind of looking over your shoulder. I did say that therapy and support would help. And AI gave me a lot of pats on the back. They said this is the most realistic part of the reading that you predicted. It's definitely something that happens with individuals when they're recovering from cancer. When the body stabilizes, the mind takes a little bit longer to stabilize. So AI, all three of them gave me a hit on that one. So I did get some psychic blunders here, or overcalls, as one of the AI components said. In the fourth quarter of the year, which is October, November, December, I said there was going to be chaos in the home, tower moment. There were some fives that were in there and reverse stability cards. So what I said was I saw major instability and conflict in the home in Q4. And this is kind of where I was saying that I thought there was going to be a lot of kerfuffle going on. And I think that they actually moved into Forest Lodge a little bit sooner than that fourth quarter. And perhaps that was the energy that I was reading. I'm just giving myself a disclaimer here. But if we interpret this as a public facing collapse, it was a miss. If we interpret it as private stress, restructuring, and pressure, it's a partial hit. For accountability, I'm going to give it a miss on intensity and public manifestation. I'm just going to give it that. There's possible private stress signatures that we're just not privy to over here. I also said there was some romantic insinuation there. There's that flirty magician we talked about. And if you haven't seen my 2025 prediction, it's going to be at the end of this video. You can jump right into the card. You can go see it. And if you have some disagreements, you can let me know in the comments. So I did think that there was potential romantic or push and pull waves. Not able to verify this. AI said they could not verify it. So they gave me a miss. It's totally fine. I'm okay with having a miss. Altogether, 2025 scorecard, we came up with 5 hits, 2 misses, 1 unproven, which gave me an accuracy range between 65 and 72%, depending on whether you count that unproven as neutral. So let me know if you want the unprovens as neutral or as an official miss, because I will add that in as I'm grading the rest of these. So when we weight this, and that's one of the things that I do to give it like a letter grade, how strong were my calls? The strongest I was on pacing, health, vigilance, gradual return, and the focus on George and his legacy. The weakest was on that domestic chaos and intensity that I saw in the last quarter of the year. So in terms of weighted, my grade was a B or a B plus, which is just about right, because I was a B plus student when I was in school, when I was in little school before I got to university. When I was in university, I was a rock star. But I was more right than wrong, and I was strongest where it really did matter, in my opinion, for health and the institutional pacing. So I think I did pretty well at that. B plus, I'm going to take that B plus because I am extra. I like the B plus. So we're going to transition over into 2026. And this is where the cards are going to come up. So I will make sure that I put a timestamp in the description of this in case you want to skip right ahead to the fresh reading. And I just want to remind you guys that I am going to go live after this. So if you have questions during this reading, write them down and bring them over to the live. I am going to answer all of the questions that you have regarding our lovely Princess of Wales as we go into that live. So, but for this video, we're going to keep going quarter by quarter. But let's talk about her numerology. So numerology wise, 2026 has a very, very different feel for Catherine. It's less of a recovery bubble and more redefinition, structure, and re-entry. So what I'm watching for in 2026 as I do my psychic predictions, we're watching for how she rebuilds her sustainable public outing rhythm, what boundaries are going to get reinforced. And I'm recording this on Monday the 12th. So we just had the announcement that Meghan may be going back to the United Kingdom. So that may cause some issues for our lovely Princess of Wales. Also, we're going to keep an eye on how the Wales household positions itself in the next era without jumping the gun. We don't want them getting off the starting block before the king is ready to exit. So we want to see how they announce that they're ready to rule without saying it out loud. So are you ready? Are you ready, kids? I'm going to bring up that card view. Please hit that like button when you see those cards come up. And I am going to make this nice and big so we can all enjoy it. You ready? All right. So let's do an overall for 2026, Catherine, Princess of Wales. Overall energy for her. 2 of Cups. That tells me that she is not going to be doing the full bore of meetings and meet and greets that we would ordinarily expect from her in this kind of a year where we are now seeing possible future getting involved with the rule of the country. So we definitely are going to see her having limited exposure. Primary challenge. I do think we're still looking over our shoulder for any of those scans. Again, and anyone that has ever had a family member or a friend that's gone through cancer, you're really dreading those scans. And then once you go and get them, you're really dreading when those results are going to come out and what they're going to say. The waiting is the worst. You're just wringing your hands. What is the most likely outcome for Catherine, Princess of Wales year? I think by the time we get to Christmas of next year, I think she is going to be still meeting out her energy levels for work very, very carefully. I don't think that we're going to be working royal. She's not going to be doing the Princess Anne kind of thing. She's going to be going bit by bit. So we'll take a look. That was the overview for 2026. So I think we're still resting, recovering, getting a little bit more in depth for the year. We're just making sure that we are healthy and good before we go off. So let's look quarter by quarter. So we're going to look at the first quarter of the year, January, February, March 2025. We're almost done through January. We're halfway through January already. So let's look at family, royal duty, and her health. We're going to keep it nice and comprehensive, same as last year. So family, Q1, everything's coming up roses. They're in Royal Lodge now. I'm sure they're settled and everything is great in there. I think they got to spend the holidays in there. Fantastic. That's a great way to bless a house and really get your stank all over it. Royal duties and public roles. Look at that. The devil is in the details. We're going to pull some clarifying cards on that, kids. Just sit tight. Just sit tight. What is the devil in the details here? So I do think that Catherine is going to have to become a very strong leader behind the scenes. Her role in the royal family is going to be the person that does the things that they have to in order to get things done. Does that mean we may see a reemergence of that step to Meghan when they did the walkabout after the Queen passed away? I think so. I don't think that Catherine, the Princess of Wales, when she becomes Queen Catherine, is going to be quite as polite and demure as she was before. There is one particular person that she is going to step to with a great deal of strength and fortitude. And I think it's Meghan Markle. In this first quarter of the years, she is forging that personality. So let's flip this health card. The Queen of Cups. I am so glad that we saw that card. That is exactly what I want to see. That means that she's calm, steady. She is handling the emotions and the swings of having cancer, follow-up treatments, and scans. So I think that looks pretty good. Let's see what Q2 is going to be like. We got a card flipping over. Q2. Family, royal duty, and health. Family. So in Q2, we are going upside down with the family thing. What is going on there? I'm immediately getting one of the kids. Something's going to happen with one of the kids. We're talking about second quarter of the year, April, May, June. What is going to happen with one of these kids? We're going to keep it quiet. Judgment in reverse. One of the kids is going to get injured, and I believe it's one of the boys. I don't think this is going to be a serious injury. I do think it's going to be something akin to the concussion that William got when he was in school. I think he got hit with, it was either a cricket bat or a golf club, something like that. Somebody brained him. He had a concussion. He went to the hospital. I believe I've got that story right. And I think we're going to see something like that. Anybody who has kids knows, like, there's always one that's a little wild and is constantly sick or injured. I have one that is constantly sick or injured. It's very rare that the other one gets sick or injured, but it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a run for our money. So I think we're going to be a little bit focused on one of those babies in Q2. What about her royal duties? Royal duties. What is going on with that Seven of Swords in reverse? What is this? I think she is going to have to take a little bit of a step back, and it's going to go over like a lead balloon with those men in gray suits and the courtiers. They're going to say, how are we going to manage this? How are we going to manage this? Everyone wants the Princess of Wales. I think they are going to have to cancel a few events for her. Maybe not huge events, but I think there are going to be events that are on her calendar that she may not go to after all. So some people will be upset about that. I think more people on the inside of the palace are going to be upset than people on the outside. People on the outside seem to have a better understanding of she's got to go do what she's got to do. What about her health here? Her health in reverse. Now, we still don't know what kind of cancer she had. We know it was possibly abdominal. I have my own personal opinion of where I think this was, but by all accounts, Catherine gets very broody when she sees babies. So I think this is something where she is getting very comfortable with the idea that her family is complete. You know, there is a point where some of us are approaching menopause and we go, well, maybe I'll have one more. Maybe I'll do it just one more time. You know, oh, these kids are so great. Like, maybe I'll just do it again. And I think that maybe she will go through a period where she says, is it possible to just do it one more time? And I think they tell her no. And so it is more of a psychological kind of closing the door on that period of her life. In the Ellen Cannon Reed deck, I refer to the Three of Wands very often because it depicts in the Ellen Cannon Reed tarot the mother, the maiden, and the crone. And these are the different phases of our lives. Nobody wants to be the crone because nobody wants to be the old witch with the big humped back and a wart on her nose and gray hair all over the place and a crazy cackle. But the crone has a body of knowledge and an experience and is a fixer of things. She is the wizened old lady. I would rather be a wizened old lady than a bag of bones at the bottom of a pit. So I think she's going to have to just come to terms with the changing from the mother to the crone. And I know some of you may say she seems really young to be turning into that, but we are really young. Some of us look really good in our later days. You know, do a quick Google search of people in their 50s and 60s now versus in the 80s and the 70s. You'll be very, very surprised. I'm sorry, guys. My hair is getting in my face. It is static season over here at the Castle von Scuttlebutt. So my hair is super, super staticky. This happens every winter. Let's go into quarter three. Third quarter of the year is August, September. August, September, October. No, July, August, September. July, August, September. We've got family, royal duty, health, family. So that I said last year, I think that the whales may actually take on a ward. Now, does this mean that they're going to adopt a baby? I think maybe at some point that might have been a consideration, adopting a child in need. But this is more of taking on the responsibility of a child. So paying for the schooling, giving them good counsel, those kinds of things. This is something that I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see William and Catherine both step up to become a benefactor of a young ward. This will be in excess of just supporting a student that is in need. They're going to really kind of take that kid under their wings. And it doesn't have to be a little kid, but I think it's going to be an adolescent that is in need and doesn't have any family. And I think that they are going to kind of take that person under their wing, kind of like a Jon Snow, if you will. Like, I know, it's Game of Thrones, and Jon Snow was actually the nephew of Ned Stark. But this will be something like that. Like, we're going to take this kid into our family and support them and treat them like one of us, but they're not going to be formally adopted, which I think is going to be very unique and unusual to see in the royal family. I really hope that they do this, because I think it's going to be a really great PR look for them. If they do this, just give it a minute, because Harry and Meghan will start talking about adopting a baby. So let's see what the royal duties are going to do. This is where we start to come out in Q3. We're going to see more and more of Catherine coming out and doing formal events, or formalized events. We'll see her ramping up in terms of speed on the amount of events that she's going to. So we're going to see bum. She's going to be working like a 9-to-5 day job again, which is great. It'll be great to see her back there. How about our health? This is fantastic. The Three of Swords in reverse is healing. We have turned a corner. We are moving into the future without worry. There's still going to be a little bit of worry. Everybody that has cancer worries forever about it. So she's still going to be worried a little bit, but we are well on the other side of it. She's not going to wake up every single day going, hey, do I need to be worried? What's this lump? What's this lump? We're not going to do that anymore. She's going to wake up some days and she's not even going to think about it. And she's just moving forward into her future. She did say during 2025 that the recovery from cancer, it does really take your strength away. It really does take your energy away. And she admitted to that and said that it was something that she hadn't been expecting, and that she was kind of expecting it to go away. So now we're going to see her really starting to get back up to speed, normal speed engagement. What about Q4? Let's see. Q4, family, royal duty, health, family, the Hangman. Now, immediately I got that they are pretty much doing the opposite of what the other pair are doing in terms of family. Justice in reverse. They're not going to feel bad at all. One of the things is contrition, is what the Sussexes have been begging the Wales to do. Apologize, bend the knee to us because you wronged us in our opinion. And I think we are not going to see any of that nonsense. And what we're going to see is the Wales family living well as the best revenge. And it will be unfortunate that Harry and Meghan will probably have some trials and tribulations that are going to be the stark opposite of what is happening for the Wales family. So don't be surprised. Sometimes the universe and the gods set those things up for us. So I think that we're going to see a clear dichotomy between the Wales and the Sussex families and how those children are coming up. I'm not saying that we're going to compare and contrast the children, but I think we're going to see a difference in how the results are shaking out. So Stick around for that. Remember, we're in Q4 here. This is royal duty, public role. I think perhaps we see uncertain foundations for both of the eldest Wales children. I think perhaps Catherine sidecards with them. They did so well at the last walkabout where they were collecting the candy with their dad and their mom. And Louis grabbed that big, I looked like one of those ball candies, like a Rocher. But I think we're going to see her splitting time between her daughter and George. I think Charlotte and George are going to be coming out, and she's going to let them kind of step to the front a little bit, give people a sneak peek while she is still Princess of Wales and not yet the Queen. What do we have on health over here? Health, we are finally starting to feel it in our bones that we feel good, that things are not difficult, that things are not complicated, that things are not looming in the background. This looks super, super bright for her at the end of the year, but we're not done yet. But wait, there's more. We're going to do a media narrative. Now, poor Princess of Wales, poor Catherine. We all remember the Where's Catherine bit, right? We all remember that. How is the media going to be treating Catherine during 2026? How is the media going to be treating her? Sun card. Wheel of Fortune. They are really, I know it doesn't make sense, but they're going to treat her in the same fashion. The same kind of energy surrounds her as surrounded Jackie Kennedy during the securing of Camelot here in the United States. So I think that there's going to be a turnaround on all of that negative press that Catherine got. I think they're really going to see her as the future. Again, 9 of Cups. These are the best cards. We have the Sun, Wheel of Fortune, and the 9 of Cups. It doesn't get any better than that, kids. It really doesn't. Annabelle said it. It doesn't get any better than that. What's in the past? That 3 of Wands, the uncertainty of where we are going. Now we have direction. We know where we're going. 2 of Wands and 4 of Swords in the future. Kids, I have a feeling we are finally going to see the ghost of Diana, Princess of Wales, being put to bed. They are going to allow Catherine to step into this role without any example or suggestion that she needs to perform like her late mother-in-law. They are finally going to allow Catherine to flex her way into this role and to conduct herself in an appropriate way for her for this role. That's what we're going to do. Thank God the media is going to give her a break. What is the best advice for her to thrive? Let's do a yellow brick road, kids. You ready? The path. The path, she's on the way to the throne. I can't say it any other way. This is legacy. Her legacy, the legacy of the Mountbatten Windsors is where she's going. That is the path. She is there not as a social climbing Middleton, but as a member of the royal family. She believes in the monarchy. She's going to sustain the monarchy. And this will be a theme that we see strongly throughout 2026. She's going to live up to this. The pressure. The pressure is going to be the negative things that are coming out of a certain camp. We know where that is. Main thing she needs to do in terms of the negativity. Ace of Cups. Kill him with kindness. Kill him with kindness. There's always going to be a kerfuffle around her. And all will be revealed. If you are quiet enough with a bad player, if you don't react enough with a bad player, they will eventually out themselves. So, what is our hidden hand? The devil. You got to learn how to manage that devil. If the devil is trying to get you to fight back, don't. If the devil smacks you in the face and wants you to smack back, don't. She's got to learn how to manage this devil. Best advice for the devil. We all know who that is, right? Best revenge is living well. And you can laugh in private about the lack of fortune for others. So, public face. What is her public face? Best advice: be intrepid. And I do think that the Catherine naysayers, the ones that don't like our lovely Princess of Wales, I think what they say is she's in over her head. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's not appropriate for this job. I think admitting that, hey, I never thought I was going to be here, but now I am. I've been tutored in this role, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to embrace every day with a fresh attitude. Let's roll up our sleeves and see what we can get done. Not, I expect everything to be laid out on a red carpet or a blue carpet, if you're some people, and have a silver tray under it. I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting to come in on the ground floor, roll up my sleeves, and do it with you. I am going to build the treehouse with you. I am going to harvest the wheat, grind the wheat, bake the bread, knead the dough. I'm going to do all the things. The little chicken is going to be so happy, the little red hen. So if you don't know that story, it's a little red hen. She wants everybody in the barnyard to help her bake the bread, and no one helps her. And then at the end, she says, who will help me eat this bread? And everyone says, I will. And she goes, oh, no, you won't. I'm eating the bread by myself. So what is her private goal? Private goal is just a happy home. Look at that. It doesn't get purer than that. Just a happy home. She just wants a happy home. Likely pivot. She's going to leave all those bad times away. She's going to leave them. There is something to be said about having gratitude for the things that we have overcome, having gratitude for those challenges so that we could stretch our ability and stretch our goals. Catherine is grateful for the good and the bad. She's grateful for the challenging moments of parenting and the happiest moments of parenting. She's happy for those. I think that her primary goal, if we were to sit down with her, is to make sure that her home, her husband, her children, her dogs are all functional and happy. Make sure all of their employees are functional and happy. I think that is the biggest goal for her. And her likely pivot is to leave anything behind that does not serve her family and her people with happiness and wonder. I think that is really going to be a focus for her. Do we see that? Do we see the yield of that on our end as consumers of royal family, whatnot? No, we won't see that. We're not going to see behind their family walls. We're not going to see the excitement and the joy, but we will see evidence of it in the outcomes of their lives. That's what we'll see. So is Catherine going to choose the pace, or is the system going to choose the pace for her in 2026? It's a little of both. And I think this says that she has a great team around her, because they're going to let her kind of figure out the balance. They're going to let her get on that paddleboard and figure out where she can fit. What is what about boundaries for her energy? What can she do for that? And these are kind of directives. Boundary for her energy. She is actually the one that can disrupt things. She has the power to disrupt her household. And so stabilizing and keeping everything very calm and easy is key for her. Being the ballast in the storm, I hate to say it like that because I mean, she's way out of thin, but being the ballast in a storm tossed ship is not the greatest thing in the world. It's not the best job. It's not the flashiest job in the world. But if she does not serve, she will have disruption. So she does need to be even keel. What about? Is there any cause that we're going to see her get more and more involved in? And I immediately went to the hospital that they just, her and William, I believe, took over the patronage. And it was the hospital that Catherine had her chemotherapy at. So that came in right away. And this is great because Catherine really transforms. She does not need to be there. She doesn't have to be there. She chooses to be there. She chooses to get back into the trenches with all those other cancer patients and help them fight the fight. Her job there is not over, but it is transformed. And just for some fun, little tarot lesson in the middle of this reading, for those of you that are studying tarot, the World card, this character that is depicted here is the Fool transformed as a hermaphroditic character. This is the transformation from lifetime to inter-lifetime. And the Fool is going back into the in-between to decide what lifetime they're going to experience the next time around. So this prediction I'm making, she is really going to dedicate herself to that hospital that she was treated at for her cancer, that her and William have taken over. They are going to filter a lot of attention and finances into that facility. So I think that that is a wonderful thing. You know, some people, when they finish their cancer treatment, they never want to go back to that building. They never want to go back to that doctor again. It is a drag to get back there, but I think that she is facing it full on, restored, and she's going back there to be one of those brave soldiers that's going to fight the good fight on behalf of the other patients that are there. So good for her. So what else do we have? Is there any tension between her privacy and duty going into 2026? As we get closer to the throne, her privacy shrinks. It does shrink. And I do hope that the whales have a great counselor or psychologist that they can talk to, because this is unfortunately just something that happens. And it's something that the psychologists that are involved with the royal family now realize, that as you get closer and closer to your monarchy or leadership role, that your privacy starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And there have to be ways to balance that plebeians like you and I don't know. So that is something that I think they will be working on in 2026, is making sure that as that private citizen role shrinks, that they find other outlets for it. And I want to remind all of you that watch the Queen's funeral. It is when they take the scepter and the crown and all of the trappings of the monarch off of that coffin before she's lowered into the crypt. When she is lowered, she's lowered down as a normal person. She is no longer the monarch. She is absolved of all of those trappings, and it goes on to the next monarch. So, this is as you load up with your monarchy belongings, your personality, your personal privacy kind of diminishes. So this, I think, is something that she is going to be balancing. So it's going to be a little bit tricky. And we, of course, lament that loss. Ooh, sorry, guys, that loss of privacy there. But she's going to do it just well. She's got a strong monarch on her side, strong monarch. And she is all in with that devil card there, all in. Does 2026 close stronger than it opens for Catherine? So it does seem a bit of an administrative year. I'm going to say an administrative year, and this is why. Because I don't see any grand changes for the way that she's conducting herself. Now, I'm not saying that we're not going to see a changing of the hands. I'm not saying that, a changing of the guard. But I do think that the course of work and events that she has to go through, stronger or weaker, it just doesn't seem like it's very different. What I do see is that the year closes with more transparency. We're going to see more transparency. So these are revelations, letting go of some things that we're hanging on to. Is that tradition? Is that the old way of monarchy? Perhaps. So will we see any stress spikes? We're going to go month by month. January. No. Oh, well, January is just not a great month. So not looking like it's ideal. February. No, February is good. March, we see a stress spike. Keep that in mind. April. No. May. No. June. July. She's going to make an announcement in July. August. We're good. September. Maybe some negative news. October. We might see her making an announcement. November. I do think that we will see the Sussexes. I know that they do not speak to the Sussexes now, but I think we see definitive kind of a la Brooklyn Beckham, contact me through my attorneys. I think we see that. I think we see all of the systems break down. This makes me think that Catherine and William may be in the top spot by this point. December, stress points. Yes, next December, there is going to be a lot of stress put on family, and I'm promising you guys it's going to be coming from the Sussexes unless Harry gets his head out of his ginger butt. So there we go. Those were some stress spikes. What is the best way for her to conduct herself in 2026? Pacing? No, she should get out there. People do want to see her. Boundaries. Boundaries are going to be reduced because, again, we're getting more of a clean bill of health at this point. Mindset. She always has a good mindset. I'm never worried about her mindset. I think she is quite positive in the way that she conducts herself. I think it's very easy to be positive when you have positive things ahead of you and when you have creative things ahead of you. When you're focused on good stuff, you're going to have good stuff and you're going to be in a good mindset. So I think that looks pretty good. I don't know if I want to go any further because I think I want to save some space for questions from you all. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. We are going to go live immediately after this. So you guys can just follow the bouncing ball over to the live. I'll pin it in the comments too. If you want me to focus on a specific angle, like marriage optics, health pacing, George's heir, how she's doing with the kids, royal workload. Save your questions. We're going to drop it in the chat in the next video, in the next live, and we will answer all of those. So come on over. We're going to have some fun. I hope you had fun with this one. And I thank you for being here. I know there's a lot of readers. There's a lot of channels out there. You guys have a lot of choices for your entertainment. And I am so glad that you chose to come visit me. So I will see you in just a little while over in the live. So until then, write down your questions and let's get going. I'll see you live in a minute.